Yes, as Nicolas told, I'm working at Odoo as a technical consultant. And today, as you have guessed, we're going to talk about the API. My goal here today is to show you how you can easily and quickly connect your tools with Odoo with a few lines of code. So, why? It's a bit of a silly question, because obviously you all know examples of cases where you want to connect Odoo with the outside world. But we can, for example, imagine that you run an e-commerce website, an external one, and you want to use the information on Odoo to retrieve the product price or the product description or something like that. Another great use also is to import. At the beginning of the project, you are more likely to have a lot of data to import. And to do that, it will be really easier to do that in a batch way. So you want to script your import, and to do that, you will have to use the API as well. Okay, my talk is divided in 3 parts. First, I'm gonna show a little example of how the API works with some code. Then we're gonna show a business example of Pivot. And if we have the time, we're gonna finish with some advanced use case. Okay, the Odoo API in a nutshell. Simple. That's the keyword here. That's what you want to do. You want to make it simple. It's simple because it's standard. We use a standard XML RPC or JSON RPC. You have libraries for that in almost every language. And you have high-level libraries for Odoo. So that will help you even more for the syntax and so on. It's simple because you can access to every object. You can access to every public method. If you want to think about it, everything that you see in your Odoo web client, you can also see it with the script. If you see the invoice name, you can access the invoice name. If you see a big button, create invoice, you can access that method as well. So you can reproduce every step that you will do in the web client using the API. And the good thing is that you can see everything, but you can see everything that you're allowed to see, because the record rules and the access control list are respected. So there is no problem with security. It's the same security as the web client, obviously. And you can use it everywhere. You can use it on SaaS, you can use it on site, and you can use it on the brand new Odoo SH. Okay. I just say that we can reproduce everything. So we can imagine a simple flow. For example, I would like to sell a product to some guy. You know that in Odoo, to do that, you will have to create a sale order, select a customer, and then create a new line in the sale order, select a product, and so on. Today, in this small example, we're going to try to do that, but remotely with a script. So the first thing we do in this example, I will use an external library because it's easier, it's more readable than the standard XML RPC, but you can totally do it using the standard. If you go to the documentation on the Odoo website, you have plenty of examples, and they all use the standard libraries of XML. I just chose this because it's easier to read, and so for you it's easier to understand, and if you code, it's easier to maintain, so do it. Well, the first thing I want to do to create my sale order is log in. So that's what I do. I log, I give the intent where I want to log, the database name, my login, password, etc. And I give a protocol. Good thing here, you should, if you use that in production, you should always use a secure protocol. Otherwise, your password will pass in plain text. So do that. Also, don't do as I did here, because it's only an example, but don't log as the admin. you should create a dedicated user for that with the minimum rights, so you don't have problem. For example, if you want to create a sale order like this one, you will give only the rights necessary to that owner, to that user, so you don't have surprises after. Okay, now that we're logged in, and we will want first to find a product and find our partner, a customer. Okay, let's imagine that we want to look for a keyboard. We want to say to sell to the guy a keyboard. Okay. The first thing we do is to get the model of the product. The model for a product is a product in Odoo, and then you can search. That's what you do. You will, from all the products, you will do a research to find only those who interest you. In my case, I will look for a keyboard where the name is look like a keyboard. So I will retrieve a list of IDs of all the records that looks like keyboard. But the thing is, maybe I own a keyboard shop, and maybe I have, I don't know, billions of keyboards in my database. So I should maybe limit the result of my request. You can do that using some keywords that are detailed in the API. Okay, so now I have the ID of my product. To be sure, I can use a read method. The read method gives you all the fields inside this record, but I don't need to see all the fields because, of course, a product have a lot of fields. So just to be more readable here, I only selected the fields name and the price. And so as a result, if you print, you have a list of all the products that looks like a keyboard. I have only one in my demo database. It's the Apple keyboard, which has the ID 19. Okay. Now that I have the IDs of the product, I can do the same for the partner. It's exactly the same. I will look for a partner with the name of the partner I want to use. I have to create the sale order. So same process. I get the model, sale order, and as I said, I can use every method. So I will use the create method of the sale order, and I will give them all the information. I will want to specify the customer. I will want to specify the order lines where there is a product. Here, it's a little trick. It's better to create the sale order with in one request, because you could create sale orders and then populate them with sale order lines. But if something goes wrong in between, you will have empty sale orders. So that's really not what you want. So using this kind of structure, what we call the X2many methods, comments, sorry, you can avoid that. If you do import, you have special method, but I won't go into details right now. Okay, sorry, I forgot. You could also, as I said, you can access every method, so you can also write. Write is to change the value of a field. I'm going to change just the name of my sale order. It will be no Odoo experience instead of SO02000. And if I log into my Odoo web client, what I will see, what you expect, I have exactly my quotation as if I have created directly using the interface. So the idea here, it's you can see you can really remote control your Odoo using a few lines of code. Something to note here, you have the name Odoo experience. If you're used if you use to the interface of Odoo, you know that this field, the name, is read-only. You can't edit it because it's blocked in the view. But it's only a help for the client. If you really want to change it, you can. So that's a reminder. You can't use views for security issues. It's only to help the customer insert data, no more. Okay, and last but not least, I repeat, but you can use every public method, so you can call those methods. You see, upside you have send by email, send letter, print, confirm sale, and so on. Behind every button, there's a method. So you can call them. And you can really go and script your flow. So you can really do everything that you want to do. Okay, here, a little thing that you have to know, it's not really the point of this talk, but every public method is accessible this way. So that means that you have to trust your method. You, for example, you can't give sudo access through a method because it can get accessed this way, and you may end up with a strange result. So you have to check your results, or always check your method if you use sudo, and if you use SQL queries and so on, because it might get messy. Okay, I'm gonna resume a bit the good practice I listed here. First, as for the security, please don't log as an admin. Create a dedicated user for the import and so on. Use the secure protocol and double check your methods if you use sudo, especially if you use sudo and SQL and so on. For the performance issue, I didn't talk about that, about the importance of reading. I didn't talk a lot about that, but you have a lot of talks about the performance issues, and that's not really the point of the API today. And other, use libraries. It's really easier. It will simplify your work. So don't try to do XML by yourself. Okay. So that's nice, but you can say, okay, it's a fun example, sandbox example, but what can I do really with that? And here we did a simple example. It's a successful integration and a really easy one. With a system that's called Pivo, and they do retail signage. I guess you don't really know what's this, so I'm going to show you a picture, you will understand. This kind of stuff that you see in supermarket and so on. What they do, they work with big shops, and they do request to their database to get index, to get the product name, to get the photo, to get the description, price, and so on. And then they use a template so that the shop manager can easily print his things. And they used to only plug to their specific customer, but they wanted to create a more generic solution. And so they did, and they tried to, they contact us to plug in with Odoo, and we did. And in a minute, we could directly connect with the simple method that we've seen today, search, read, and so on. We could get to this, because here, I don't know if you can insert, well, it's an image, but you can look for your keyboard, it will read the data and put it there. It was really easy, and that's an example to show you that you don't have to be afraid to use Odoo as database. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's obviously the quote I had to say. So that I was amazed how simple it was to connect our tool with Odoo in minutes with a demo running. And that's true. In half an hour, we had a connection to the Odoo database, and everything worked as expected. It's nice to see. Okay then. And as for the more advanced usages, for that we have a specific talk, so I won't go into details. First, the main usage of the API is to do imports. And we have specific talks this year, and last year also we had a specific talk about that. So I invite you to, if you're interested in this topic, to see and go there. You will have more details than what I could give you here in a few minutes. And another example of XML call that we have is the load testing. As I said, you can You can reproduce scenarios and script them. You can script, for example, we did today, script the confirmation of a sale order. You can imagine to create various scenarios like that and emulate users using these scenarios. Doing so, you will be able to emulate 10, 20, 50, 2,000 maybe, users at the same time doing stuff. Sorry. And doing that, you will be able to stress test your Odoo instance, and you will be able to see what are the bottlenecks and so on. Doing that using the Odoo API. And that's a great talk we'll have tomorrow, I think. No, today, this afternoon, sorry, by a colleague of mine, Michael. Okay, then, I finished today. Do you have any questions, maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
How do you handle if request doesn't go through?
What if request doesn't go through?
Like if you have like a sequence of things, like
Yeah.
you create a sale order and then you do something with it.
And then, for example, there's a timeout or something.
Yeah, so something breaks in the middle.
Well, your all function will stop. But of course, if you have, for example, you have created a sale order, and then something breaks, your sale order will be created.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like the thing is, like we had this problem, or and my solution was to.
Sorry, I can't. Maybe we can. I don't know if there is other question, but maybe we can discuss it later because I can't hear you.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, or if there is a mic or something? Okay. Nobody?
Thank you.